do you think this move is more about the 49ers just like protecting themselves and realizing they reached the NFC Championship game last year and knowing like if you're like a championship caliber roster, you need to have a good backup quarterback. So AKA it's not about Trey Lance, or do you think keeping Jimmy G is about a lack of faith in Trey Lance? And like the 49ers, I was tweeting a bunch about this yesterday. So sorry if you're rereading my tweets via podcast listeners. But like they've never been able to keep their Trey Lance narrative straight. There's never been that drumbeat of positivity on Trey Lance from the 49ers. And so do you think this is more just about the 49ers wanting to cover all their bases or more about a lack of faith in Trey Lance?
So Adam Schefter said back in March that the 49ers, and this is, correct, they are a win now team. They have a win now roster. They could have, by many accounts, one of the, elite defenses if everybody stays healthy, especially on that defensive line. They have an elite defense. Their special teams is supposedly improving over last year's disaster, and their offense is fine. Like it's a fine offense. It got to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs 3 years ago. It has competed, even though it's very conservative and kind of a little bit backwards looking. It's a win now roster, and
a playmaker based offense. They got guys who can make plays.
So they need a facilitator at quarterback, right?
Yes.
And if Trey Lance cannot properly facilitate the playmakers, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, others, Mitchell, whatever, Kyle Shanahan is going to pull the ripcord. I promise you that. Like Jimmy Garoppolo is not just going to sit in street clothes on the sideline if Trey Lance is struggling. I'm not saying that the first time Trey Lance overthrows Brandon Ayuk on the sideline that it's game over for Lance. I am saying that a game or two of consistent struggles, of errant throws, of bad decision making, and I don't see any scenario where Trey Lance can just keep his job unquestioned. The media pressure will be on both locally and nationally for, again, a win now very good roster that has gotten very far with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. It makes me very nervous about Trey Lance in redraft, although his ADP is not exactly, too difficult to overcome. I mean, he's a 9th, 10th, 11th round pick somewhere.
Yeah, I do feel like if you're drafting Trey Lance, you should be drafting two quarterbacks. You use the phrase pull the ripcord. That's most difficult to do at quarterback, but I mean, Kyle Shanahan does it all the time at running back, all the time at wide receiver. I mean, he probably does it all the time on defense, but we don't really pay attention to that kind of thing. But
never heard of a defense.
Never heard of defense. And he always does it, though. Even like his favorites, like guys he trades up for, like Dante Pettis, Trey Sermon. He just wants to play the best players. And I have a lot of Trey Lance thoughts. So, one is like the crazy stat shared by NBC Sports Bay Area's Matt Mayoko was the first one to point out the stat. Trey Lance, not counting the preseason, has attempted 389 live passes since he was in high school.
Oh, that's like the craziest.
Like a staggering statistic, like a legitimately staggering statistic. I mean, that's like half a season total for some NFL starters. I mean, that a little more than half, but just crazy, like so raw. And I don't understand why when you have a player like Trey Lance, like the preseason, either use it or lose it. Like, why even have the preseason if you're not going to like play Trey Lance for an entire game? Like, why was Trey Lance just not playing 3 full games this summer? Like, I actually mean this as a sincere point.
Mm-hmm.
Where give him all the live game reps he needs to get his timing down, even if it's against second and third stringers. Like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, oh no, Trey Lance grew his confidence. Like, that's
right.
Bad.
Right.
It's like, you're like, oh, it was against third string.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he could destroy his confidence. Well, that would have been bad. But
if that was the case, then so be it. Like, you got to know.
Yeah, it's true. If this is like all about timing and accuracy, why was he was given like so few live reps this summer? Right. I mean, I guess he got a lot of live reps against a really good 49ers defense in practice, but I just don't know like if we're reading too much into the 49ers words or lack of words on Trey Lance. But, I've been blurbing at NBC now since 2011. So I've read, probably literally millions of blurbs. You get used to there are just certain rhythms, and like a lot of them are pure like smoke, like pure BS. But when there's a young quarterback, there's always an off-season drumbeat of praise from like the coaching staff even like the local media always gets in on the game because they always like want the guys to succeed. And it's just been like totally absent on Trey Lance.
It has.
It's just on the record, off the record, it's just been totally absent.
Kyle Shanahan went on a podcast like 4 weeks ago, and Trey Lance came up, and Kyle Shanahan sort of started laughing and said, "Man, I'm looking forward to not having to deal with the questions this year." And the podcast host said, "So what?
I have some questions."
He said, "Why did you not like hold a presser like announcing Trey Lance as the quarterback?" And Kyle Shanahan, he's flummoxed. He goes, "I didn't know I had to do that." Man, that's to me, that's very fishy. That's very fishy. Like, it's I tweeted a few weeks ago that it was half a joke, but only half a joke, where when a reporter says, what about Trey Lance? Is he your starter? And Kyle Shanahan's response is, yes, Trey Lance is a quarterback on our roster. That's sort of the response that he gives. I truly don't believe that he has a safe job there in San Francisco.
I don't either. And I got like a lot of pushback on Twitter. It's like, well, it makes so much sense. It makes business sense, which it did in theory. Supposedly he couldn't have been traded, because of his shoulder, which there have been rehabbing players traded many times. Body parts heal. I bet there was someone willing to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. And even if it makes business sense, even if in theory it makes 53-man roster sense, it does not make psychological sense. And there's a reason teams, it's like basically leaving like a loaded gun laying around. There's a reason teams with these young quarterbacks don't keep people like Jimmy Garoppolo in the quarterback room, because it makes it just like a really pressurized situation. And there's a reason it doesn't happen. And I think there's a reason the 49ers are bucking the trend. And it's because they lack the appropriate faith in Trey Lance.
That's very, very well said. And, Jimmy Garoppolo has not been part of team activities all summer. Okay. Like, he has not.
Which again, I don't know why I cut you off, but talk about fishy. Like they thought he was going to be gone.
So he hasn't participated in any practices, no film study. He hasn't been in the quarterback room. He's been part of the team, but not of the team. Right. And now he is. Now it's suddenly he's sitting shoulder to shoulder with Trey Lance watching game film. I'm not saying, by all accounts, the relationship between Lance and Garoppolo is fine. There's nothing really. It's not Rodgers and Favre or anything, but it is a situation where the pressure on Lance ratcheted up by 100 times, by a factor of 100 with Garoppolo coming back.
Yeah, like seriously, like 1,000-fold, and it is almost like too. Like after they watched the guy play for an entire summer, Trey Lance, there it's like, maybe we should actually think twice about this. And we could be disastrously wrong, I guess, because Kyle Shanahan not exactly known for following the narrative. So, Trey Lance, he'll just come out and he'll just be like the best dual threat rookie since like Robert Griffin or something.
Yeah,
but
perhaps.
And he's not a rookie, sophomore. But it's just very, very fishy. Very, very fishy.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.